Okay, now you have your country and you're ready to play. So you should see a link to Play Global Triumph. If you don't see the link, you may be on a world that you don't have a country in, so you'll see Join Create Country instead. So we'll go back to Sandbox and you'll see the link. So click Play, which will launch the game window. You'll start off zoomed in on your country. I'm going to jump to the world view really quickly for some perspective. You can jump to the world view by clicking on this button. The purpose of the game is to capture as much of this world as possible, eliminating your enemies. You can play in teams known as alliances, which basically lets you and other players within the game form a team. You can work together, you get a message board to plan, you can set pins on the map that your teammates can see to help coordinate. You can also sign treaties with other countries, which forces the system to block attacks between the two of you. So with that, let's jump back to our zoomed in country. You start with these sectors and you need to go and grab as many as you can. Gray sectors are unknown, so if you go to get them, there won't be any resistance and you'll capture them automatically. You can click to drag around. You'll see the only sector that's different here is the center one. It has a little star which indicates this is a capital sector. This is your home capital. If you ever lose this sector, your money is going to, your income each night is going to drop by half. So this is a very important sector to hold on to. On the capital sector, you'll see that you have an option to create a land base, and you'll see that that's going to cost you $2,500. We currently have 12,000, so it's going to be a good chunk of cash just to get started. Any of these other sectors aren't going to allow you to build anything, so let's get started on the capital. I've built a land base. Now with a land base, you can sell it, you have information about it, but you also have the ability to create a unit. So let's create a unit. When you get started, you might want to start with some cheap infantry, but there are four different types. There's construction trucks, which can be used to create other bases, infantry, which are cheap but are weaker, jeeps, which have medium strength and about 500 each, and tanks are 900 each and are the strongest land unit. You can create a unit of strength 1 or anywhere up to 9. And you can see I can only build up to a strength 3 construction truck because I only have enough money for that. Construction trucks generally, you typically will build with strength 1. Certainly when you start the game, you're going to want to build cheap infantry just to grab land until you can store up more money. So let's build an infantry of strength 1. When I've built it, it's going to allow me to move automatically because the setting is set up that way. So let's move one to here. Now that I've created a unit, I can either click and go through the same process, or I can click and hit clone create here. I can also hit clone create on the sector where I'd like the unit created. If you set up keyboard shortcuts, for example, I set up the R key, so I can just hold R and click, and it's going to clone create. So you can create a whole line of infantry pretty quickly. Now with this infantry, if you click, you'll see I have additional options. I can sell it, merge it with another unit, I'd set an attack, or set a perpetual attack. The difference between a normal attack or a perpetual attack is when you set a normal attack, once that attack is carried out, the unit will stop. With a perpetual attack, once that attack is set out, it's going to essentially reset itself so the same attack happens the next day. So let's say I want to take this line of units and I want them to just keep charging right. So I'm going to click and then select the perpetual attack all the way right. Now I'm going to use my Q keyboard shortcut, click, perpetual attack. I also have a group clone attack keyboard shortcut set up with the control key, so if I hold the control key and then click and draw a square, it's going to apply that same last attack I did to every one of those units. If I wanted to set a crazy attack pattern here, and then hold control for my group clone attack and highlight, you'll see it's going to clone that same attack to everyone. I'm going to go back to this. The attacks are carried out at 4 o'clock in the morning, Central Time, during the daily cycle. You can read more about that in the help section or in the message boards. But basically, any attacks that you set are going to be carried out once a day. So whenever you get a chance during the day, you go set up all your moves, you create all your units and set your attacks, and then they're carried out in the order that you set them. Now which country goes first is chosen random each night during that cycle, but your particular attacks are always carried out in the order you set them. So I've set these front lines. I'm going to create a back line here really quickly, and now I can set these attacks. Now because I set these front lines first, they'll move out, and then these attacks will happen after. I'm going to use my X cancel attack and cancel these really quickly. I'm just holding the X key and clicking. Now if I were to set this attack to go first, and then this one and this one, and these units aren't moving, as soon as this unit gets to this point, it's not going to be able to move because there's an existing unit, and two units cannot occupy the same space, so this attack will stop immediately. So instead, you'll want to be sure to set your front lines, and then you can set your back lines. When you do the group clone attack, the order in which you drag the box is important. It's always going to go in the order you drag it. So for example, if I start at the top right and go to the bottom left, it's going to move from the top right, from top to bottom, from right to left, because I went downwards. So it'll do this one, 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 and then these two. If I went from bottom right up, it's going to do these, and then these. If I set this way, it'll do these units, then these units, then these units. So it is very important in which direction you group clone, because that is the order that these unit attacks will be set. Okay, now it wouldn't make sense. I probably don't need two lines of infantry, so let's set these guys to go up here. And then you can clone a few more units. We'll set these guys to go up here. Set these guys to go here. And we'll just set him here. Now of course your attack pattern and how quickly you can grab land is part of the strategy of the game. This isn't an especially efficient way of grabbing land, but it's just for demo purposes. That may be about all you need to do for the first day, just to start grabbing land before you get too involved. Some people also like to build some construction trucks and start sending those out in other directions as well, so that you can start building bases and expansion, because you have to build bases in order to build more infantry. So if you delay too long on building trucks, then you're kind of behind. You'll have your front lines way out there, but you sort of need to have trucks out there as well to start laying bases and really start expanding. So it is an investment in cash. So it's kind of, you make the decision whether or not you want the trucks right away, or just start grabbing land and maybe hold off a day or two before you start building some trucks.